that are some of the things you have to monitor when doing construction projects.
Good,
Thank
good.
you.
That's very good. We clap hands for you. It's very good. Your analysis is very good. You have explained a lot regarding construction related project that you will need to check for your inputs. You will need to check the quality of work. You will need to check also for the BOQ, the bill of quantity. You will have to check that one. How are you performing? How are you performing? How is the bill of quantity? How are you moving towards the bill of quantity? And remember, in your bill of quantity, you'll have the cost of labor and you'll have the cost of material. And that is very important for during monitoring. Because if you don't monitor the bill of quantity, you will end up overspending, overrunning the projects. And you need to monitor. Are you targeted that maybe I will construct a road by using maybe 5 billion, but you are not monitoring. Now, if you're not monitoring, then it seems you're not serious. You're not serious at all. And this is the problem that we are having in Africa. You'll find many project manager, they are not accountable to what they planned for. So they just do it because they are doing it. No, for projects, so long as we plan, now we need to monitor. Are we moving within the bill of quantity or we are not moving? What are the deviation? You see, if there's any deviation in the cost, you must justify. You must report back to the management by saying, this is what we planned, but now we find we have overspent. You see, you actually, before you overspend, then you will have already produced the report. The only way to do is by the time when you do the monitoring and evaluation. This will assist you to check any cost overrun, to avoid any cost overrun of the project. This is very important. But most of the people, they tend to skip this one. You find some other people who are working in the project, but within that project, they are not serious. As I say, it's just like a group of gangs sitting in an organization and eating the money, but they don't know that there are staff being employed in the project and they need to account themselves in line with the project strategic plan, because every project must have a plan. So you will need to walk the plan. Check your staff. You see, check everybody who is working on site. You will have to check this one. Otherwise, you will end up, especially at this time where we have new culture, people are playing around with the mobile phone. You'll find people spending time playing around with the mobile phone from morning to evening, and they get tired in the name of saying that they've been working. But others, they are not working at all from morning to evening. They're just relaxing, listening to songs, and stealing company's time. Remember, time is very scarce resources. So you as monitoring, you as person who is monitoring, you will also need to monitor how your labor is spending time within the project. Because if you don't do that, then you can't attain. It is where now it makes a difference between the Chinese way of managing a project and the African way of managing a project. And the only difference comes as a result of monitoring. Closer follow-up, closer follow-up, closer follow-up to observe any deviation in the project. And that is very important. At the end of the day, we will find ourselves attaining good results. So you will check the inputs, you will check the inputs, you will check your bill of quantity, you will check your material, the cost of material. You will need to check yourself the cost of labor. You need to check. What about the income sources? When are you going to get the income related to that so that you can account for BOQ? That is also very important. Are you getting the money from the government? Are you getting the money from financial institutions? If you're getting the money from financial institutions, when is that amount of money going to flow? So a manager must be aware. The only way for you to be aware is by the time when you say you are doing monitoring and evaluation. Monitoring and evaluation. Yes. Can we get from other people's experience, maybe the way you run your project? Can we get the experience from, who's this? Lenguyana. Lenguyana. Can we get experience from that? Can you get the experience? Stanley Awaki. Stanley Awaki. Others are not talking anything. And the Stanley Awaki. Gladness Nahutwa. Gladness Nahutwa. Okay, others are not willing to talk. So you will need to check that one. You must, for other organizations, depending on their budget, so you will check the budget line items, what are your incomes, and what you expected to get, and what is the difference, what are the expenses you needed to account for, and from these expenses, it is your budget. Now the budget line items, this must be derived from the budget center, and the budget center itself will be like the human resource or administrative expenses that will cover all types of human resource. If you have your transport expenses, that's another line items, traveling and the transport and traveling, or what, depending on what you will say, what type of budget category that you will have to use this one. So you'll find at the end of the day, coming up with some monitoring report. And also at the end of the day, when you are doing now the impact, that will be another thing. During monitoring, you can easily identify the aspect of the project when you are trying before the evaluation, then you can monitor the impact. Are you moving in the right track, or you're not moving in the right track? Because we said the other time that all projects that you are doing have impact to people. And this impact can be positive or negative. So you should be sensitive to monitor any positive impact or any negative impact of the project. Now, what are the main types of project monitoring? The main types of project monitoring. What are the main types? We have some common understanding for the key types of project monitoring. And these are, number one, we say the process monitoring. Process monitoring, this is number one, this is the real-time monitoring. And we have the progress tracking, and we also have the progress validation. We also have the progress monitoring. Now, with the process monitoring, what is process monitoring? This one, it informs management about actual implementation of project activities in the field. And that is the process monitoring. This is at the same time process monitoring. Let the staff on the ground know how well they implement the project. So you will see those staff who are implementing the project. They will understand much about what is happening on the ground and what kind of improvement they can bring into the project, because they are in the process of running the project. And therefore it is useful. It informs the management about actual implementation of activities. So this is what we call it, a process monitoring. And it is where you find those individuals who are being involved in the project. They will have to go to the field and assess the situation. And if there's any deviation, they write a report on it so that the management, they can improve on that scenario. This kind of monitoring measure the inputs, activities, and output. So you will have to check what are the input and how does those inputs relate to output. So this is the process monitoring. So in order for you to undertake the process monitoring, you need to capture the following information. And number one that you need to capture is the purpose of the monitoring visit itself. The visit. What is the purpose of the visit itself? And which activities that the visit cover? What type of activities that you think you are covering? This is the process. You see, which methodology that you are going to adapt for the visits. You see, these are the kind of things. Key findings from the field. What are the key findings from the field? You see, these are the key elements that you need to track when you are using the process. The feedback by the field staff. What are the feedback? So you need, if you're going as a team, you need at the same time to get feedback from the field. You see, you gather the information, you get feedback provided, you see, and at the same time, you need to provide some briefing meetings. You can have some meetings where you will have to brief among the teams, discuss among yourself, and also you check for any deadlines and the responsibilities as far as what you have been tracking in the project. So those kind of things are the key elements that you find in the process monitoring. So we have another one, we call it progress tracking. Progress tracking. So we say with this progress tracking, every project has a set of outputs, targets to be achieved. And one of the key functions of the monitoring and evaluation is to capture progress against those output targets. So you will have to capture the progress against those ones that you, let me admit these people. Yes, we still have some more people coming up. Some more people are coming up. Yes, that's okay. So with this one, progress tracking, as I said, you will need to capture the progress against the output. So it is where now you need to check the percentage of the work. Are we progressing? This is 5% of the work. This is 10%. This is 70% of the work, because now you are checking the output. You compare with the progress on the ground. So you say now here out of this project, we have attained 70%. We have attained 90%. The remain is 10%. And this is what you'll be doing when you say progress tracking, monitoring. This is another type of progress monitoring that you can find yourself undertaking. So for process is not similar to progress, but they differ in terms of focus. They differ in terms of focusing. This one is more related to progress and you tracking what percentage we are about to attain, and the other one, it is about to check on how we performing in terms of the activities, and so on and so on. Are we together, folks? Are we together? Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we are together.
All right. So, and this one, when we are doing this one, it will depend with the time frame. The progress tracking, it will depend with the time frame that you're about to use. What time you want to use to measure that one. That is for the so-called progress tracking. Progress. So we have another one is progress validation. Another one is the progress validation. So progress validation is another important type of monitoring. We have someone who's making noise, folks. We have someone who's making noise. I don't know whether it's on road or what. Check your mobile phone. Check your mobile phone, please. Check your mobile phone, please, and mute your voice. So with this progress validation, we say this is another type of monitoring that is very important, and where you find the project activities are usually being reported by the field staff. So most of the time, you'll find the field staff will give you a report to validate the output on whether their output is, or the activity is being performed or not performed. So they will have to validate that this one is done or not done. So field staff will come and tell you exactly in terms of the report. So they'll report to the manager and give you the situation. So in order to validate the output progress reports, so you'll find the monitoring and evaluation staff, what they will do is they will have to check, to track and identify output. They will check for the indicators and they will validate those indicators. Then they will check so the other means of verifications and so on. And most of the time, you can apply this one very easily when you are using the so-called logical framework, of which we will see again, and when we start discussing about the logical framework as a tool for monitoring and evaluation. So you have another one, that's the performance monitoring. Performance monitoring, this is another type of monitoring where a project is designed and funded to achieve desired outcomes. So you need to assess the outcome and the changes. So when you focus at the outcome, those outcomes, this is the performance monitoring. And this is also the type of monitoring where you find people are using to bring about the value for money in the project. And these are the kind of things that you have to assess at the end of the day. You'll have to assess, and what you will need to have is you'll have to track different types of information as far as the project is concerned, and but your focus is on the outcome. The focus is on the outcome and the changes that are found within the project. This is the performance monitoring. Are we together, folks? Now, before I continue, do you have any comments? Before we go to comments.
Yes, sir, but you mentioned
Yes, please. Hello?
Yes, I haven't heard the third and the fourth one.
The third and the fourth one. Hello?
Yes, can you just mention?
Okay. We have said,
Yes, just mention them.
we have said we have the process monitoring, we have the progress tracking, we have the progress validation, we have the performance monitoring, and so on. All these are monitoring, but they differ in terms of targets and how it is being performed. The other one, it is being performed by the staffs to make sure that you get enough information of what is being implemented. And the other one, it is being validated by the staff themselves. And the other one, it is about looking at the performance. So you focus at the performance of the project. All these are the so-called the monitoring and evaluation. I mean, monitoring, you have to track the project. And these are the key things. But anyway, you'll be reading by yourself. I will give you some material for you to read. You will read by yourself and you'll find it is also useful lecture. Now, there are key challenges. There are key challenges for project monitoring.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, before you continue,
Yes,
there's a
please.
question here.
Yes, please. Come.
Yeah. Thank you. There
Yes.
are people who saying that there is a relationship between audit and monitoring and evaluation. Would
Yes.
you mind to say something about it?
Very good, very good.
Please say something.
Yes, I can say something.
Thank you.
Monitoring, well, actually auditing, the way you look at auditing, it is only nowadays where we find that auditors are coming up and using monitoring information in terms of describing their work. But the auditing will focus, actual auditing will focus on the key elements of the so-called financial issues. And they will have to audit within that context. So if they want to go beyond financial aspects, they require monitoring and evaluation report. There is something we call it performance audit, if you might have heard in the project. And some organization, they have a special unit, they call it performance audit unit. For that one, they don't employ a finance person only. And this becomes a monitoring or performance audit, but you have to combine different skills of people inside. And that kind of report, it combined the finance and together with the performance of the project, that kind of report, it is very useful. When you observe auditing, is all about focusing at key elements of the financial aspects, but they don't go and measure the impact. What are the impact? What are the outcome? Is it relevant? Is this project relevant or is not relevant? For them, they will just assess the general receipts. They will just look at the receipts. They will just look at the expenses and say the expenses, they have been spent as per planned activities. But for you, you are beyond that. You want to say whether these expenses are relevant or not relevant. Are they within the plan? These are, what about the outcome? Because even the auditor doesn't understand what is the difference between the outcome and output and the impact. They will not understand. So it is important you use it sometimes to tell them and to go beyond the finance. So for you, you combine all those aspects, but you will not touch the receipts by saying, is this receipt correct or not correct? I know that is the work of the auditor. That is the work of the auditor. The auditor, they will focus at books of financial reporting, and when they mix with performance report, that becomes a good link for them in the project. So this is where they meet. This is where they meet. And the report that will be produced is going to be very useful. Like nowadays, what you'll see, those people who are working within the CAG, they also have some people. They also have some people who are engineers. Some are coming from community development. Others are coming from economics background. Others are coming from human resource. So you have an auditor who will come and audit the human resource. That combination is also bringing about monitoring. This is performance audit, which is very much related with monitoring and evaluation. But when you call audit by itself as auditing, regardless of performance audit, this is different a little bit. We're together, and I think I have explained a bit. Is that okay?
Yes, thank you very much, sir. Yes,
All right.
thank you.
All right.
Sorry, sir, I have a question.
Yes, please.
You have mentioned about a tool, logical framework. Is there any other tools for monitoring? And those
Hello.
tools are differentiated according to monitoring type or not?
Yes. We will discuss when we come to monitoring, and when we come to logical framework, we will discuss.
Okay.
And we will see. There are so many tools, but what we will look at, we look at what prevail in the world, what is relevant in the world as far as monitoring is concerned, because there are so many tools that you can use to monitor the performance. You can use verbal communication. That is also part of monitoring, okay? You can use the meetings. This is part of the monitoring, okay? So your meetings can give you feedback. You sit with people, you discuss with them, you communicate, you make committees, people will listen to you, you get the feelings from different people within the project context. This is another tool that you can use for monitoring. You see, you can use verbal communications, you can make presentations, you see, you can meet the audience and get the feelings of the audience. This gives you the monitoring. You can monitor the temperature, you can monitor the reports, and so on. You see, this will give you, you can also cross-check the diaries people are using, the diary notes. What are they writing in a day? You can say you go to the office, you are monitoring, and then check the diaries. Some other people don't know how to use diary. They might be buying diary, but they don't know. But there are some other people who are producing very useful information in their diary because they write the daily reports. So there are so many tools that you can use apart from the monitoring and evaluation, of which we will discuss at the time when we talk about that one.
Thank you, Sam.
All right, so we can have a break. We can have a break. Then after 5 minutes, we will come back again. Is that okay? Let's have a break.
Yes, yes, doctor.
We tune ourselves to force account. Break for 5 minutes. Break 5 minutes, then we get back, okay?
Okay, doctor.
All right, thank you.